One announcement. There won't be any interviews on the 24th. The retreat will go on until lunch. 24th, 9 o'clock I have to go out for this blood medical test and breakfast, and I will come back around 10 or 10 something. So after that, just before lunch, there can be a question answers and closing session. Before lunch. Lunch people are preparing to go home. So we continue with our Dhamma talk. We were speaking about Citta Nupassana yesterday evening, and we will stop at that. There will be a brief mention into the Dhamma Nupassana, Satipatthana. Exposition of Kaya, body, feelings, consciousness and Dhammas. From what I see is understandable, because one leads to another. And one is aware of the body, naturally the feelings will come into the feelings will come into the picture. And only one has mastered sufficiently the body and the feelings, and then the consciousness would come into the picture. And finally the Dhamma, which connects everything. As we have been talking about the Citta, we talk also about the Dhamma. What do you mean by Dhamma? The word Dhamma, as you would know, has many meanings, such as the teachings. It could also mean good deeds, it also could mean truth, it also could mean Nibbana, it could mean many things. But here it means phenomena. Or, in another word, ultimate realities. Just as you say, everybody here is a human being. Is any of you here not a human being? I presume everybody here is a human being. There are different human beings. So when you refer to just human being, it includes everyone. So when you say Dhamma, it includes everything. And more specifically, the ultimate realities. That means they do actually exist, not an imagination, not a concept. The things that you know and the things that you don't know, there are many things that you don't know exist. Yeah? Many things that you heard about but you don't know that they exist. Yeah? There are many things that you know but they are pure imagination. That also applies. So that's where there is this concern about what is real and not real. There are truths, there are falsities, and there are half-truths. As the Chinese say, you must have head and you must have a tail. Sometimes there's a head, but there's no tail. Sometimes there's a tail, but there's no head. Yeah? So when you say Dhamma, ultimate reality, that means it is something real, something really exists. Whether you know it or don't know it, whether you conceive it properly or conceive it wrongly, that's not important. So how do you know whether it's real or not real? Obviously, mindfulness. First you must be mindful, clear, present. When you see something, like I see this funny gadget in front of me, and it says, does it exist? Yeah, I see it. You see it? Everybody sees it. You see it? It exists. Maybe not in the ultimate way, but it exists in a conventional way. If a person hasn't seen this gadget before, you would think that it doesn't exist, right? It does exist, at least in the conventional sense. But this existence comes in different levels. That's why there are conventional realities and the ultimate realities. And ultimate realities are also perceived in different levels, and depending on the acuteness of your perception and mindfulness. Take for example, we say Nibbana exists. But how many people have seen Nibbana? It's very few. Since more people have not seen Nibbana than people who have seen Nibbana, so it might as well not exist. Is that true? No, it exists, it exists, right? Whether you know it or don't know, it's a different matter. So that's what we call Dhamma. So the word Dhamma, when you talk of reality, you talk of it in different levels. The more closer to the ultimate, the more it is true, faithful to its nature. This doesn't come with thinking, doesn't come with concepts. It comes with direct, mindful experience by a sharp mind. But we start from the very beginning. Start with conventional realities. But when you start meditating, then you have to learn to go beyond the conventional realities, the ultimate realities. That's where vipassana mindfulness comes in. You must be mindful, not just mindful, must be very, very mindful. And you must have the mindfulness that is able to go beyond concepts, conventions, beyond time, space, person, ideas, words, and all those. Perceive directly that nature beyond concepts. This nature beyond concepts, roughly we call it Paramatha Dhammas, ultimate realities. We call it the magic zone. One friend called it the magic zone. And it's like stepping into the water, into the sea. Once you go into the sea, you can start sinking in. When you just start sinking in, you're going to a more different world. Have you heard of this film show? I saw this film show a very long time ago when I was a young kid. We always follow our parents to see picture, whatever picture we see, follow parents. And we see these Western shows, cinema shows, we see all this, even all those Chinese shows, Wong Film shows, that was called, what do you call it? What's the Wong Film, that hero, his name? No, Jen is already much later. He passed away already. The old Wong Film. Quân Tây. Quân Tây, what I can remember. Quân Tây, that's the fellow. And then before that they were seen, and then when he killed a person, they put a knife and then he put under his arm. Never see that. But you can see he hasn't died. His arm. So, there was one show, two shows I remember very clearly in my mind. There was one show that was about a man. He was becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. You know the show? He started shrinking, becoming smaller, smaller, smaller until he becomes so small, until he becomes like so small. So the wife have to build a little house for him, And then something like that, until like a small particle, and then he couldn't see him anymore. But he didn't die yet, he is still there, in very small, tiny form. You know what, the last part of the show, I remember, the world is completely different, he says, when you become so small. But I know I still exist, I say, clinging to the self. But you know that there is still existence. So there is some spiritual moral behind it. So in the same way, when you do vipassana, when your mindfulness and your concentration improves, and what you perceive in whatever objects you get, body, feelings, consciousness, all these mental phenomena, all these things, you perceive them sharper, finer, more subtle. It's like a very powerful microscope that goes into, looks deeply into all these objects. Yeah? And so the world becomes a different thing altogether. When this is being done, what happens is the truths that you perceive in the first place, in the beginning, is no longer so true anymore. Yeah? What you hold as so true is no longer so true anymore. It's not that it's not there, it is there to some extent. Some of them are actually completely nonsense. This is all misconception. Some of them, they're still there, but they look completely different. For example, when you go deeper into ultimate realities, the first thing you notice is, these names are just concepts. They're not so important. They're only superficial reality. So whether you call it rise or fall, it doesn't matter. Because they're just names. What is important is you perceive clearly the characteristics and qualities of the elements of the wind, for example. And so with all other concepts and name and form and all those things. But that's not the end of the whole story, because there are more deeper levels of reality than what you say as the earth element, water element, fire element, and so consciousness, and all those, they are still the first level. There are deeper levels. And so that's where it's like, it's not just seeing the small things becoming bigger, but seeing things that once you thought were real are no longer real, or no longer as real. And so it's very good. Then you are, you don't attach to them. People attach to this because they're so real, they're attached to it, everything depends. If it's not there, I'll die. No meaning more in life. So that's why it's so good to see the ultimate reality. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. Detachment doesn't mean you don't eat and you don't sleep. You still do the normal things, except that know that they belong to a superficial level of reality. And so what happens? You will be disappointed. So when it's time for you to die, okay, die. So what? Die mindfully, that's what's more important. What my children, what my parents, when you die, what can you do? You cry and wah everywhere. You only cause more suffering for yourself and others. So, just mindful, dying, no breathing, finish. It is the best way to die mindfully, with concentration, with insight. You don't become an arahant, then at least definitely you will go somewhere where you can continue your practice. Not the end of your job yet. You can still continue meditating. If there's no rising, falling, you got to watch feelings and consciousness or other sensations. And that's the best and most noble way to live, to exist. Of course, the best part is if you go up to those levels, you know, anatta. There's no person who is meditating. Nobody is meditating. It's just meditation going on. See, sometimes I tell people the suffering and the sufferer. It's a normal story. There's a suffering but no sufferer. It's a meditation concerned with anatta. The best is there's no suffering and no sufferer. Which one is already nibbana. It's the best. So when you talk Dhamma, it refers to that level of Dhamma. But no, you go step by step. First you go rising, falling, sitting, touching, and all those. And finally you go through get into just the ultimate realities, the elements. And you meditate on the elements and you perceive the anatta of the elements. When you perceive the anatta clearly, then you can see the anicca clearly and the dukkha clearly. After when you see the anicca and dukkha clearly, then you can see the anatta even more clearly. So when you talk anatta, now the main thing we come to talk about Dhammanupassana is the truth of anatta, no self. This is a teaching which is very misunderstood. No self, what does it mean? No soul. And so you come to what do you mean by self or the soul, atta. Soul, that means there's something in the person or something which is the person, which lasts forever, which does not die. So we say the soul of who? Soul of Ong Teo Eng. What is the soul of Ong Teo Eng, Mrs. Ong? Does Ong Teo Eng have an everlasting soul? According to Buddhist teachings, no. But you say, no, what is not there? So when you ask, so instead of what is not there, you ask what is there. What do you see? You see the body. What is the body? The body is rupa, materiality, elements. Is the elements Mr. Ong? No, Mr. Ong. You take his body and take his hand. Is this Mr. Ong's hand? It was Mr. Ong's hand. It's definitely not Mr. Ong. Right? And so you slowly take out what we call the five aggregates. The body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, consciousness. And you take these five out and you look at each of them. They all arise and pass away, arise and pass away. Of course you won't know unless you really meditate on them carefully and you see them moment to moment rather than pop, 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 disappear altogether, nothing left. And then Mr. Ong is not in there. And Mr. Ong watches rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, falling, pop, 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 pop. Okay, Mr. Ong, do you see yourself in there? Is there little Mr. Ong there? I'm here. I'm the real Mr. Ong. You are not the real Mr. Ong. I'm the real one because I'm inside the rising, falling, and I last forever. Of course, that's ridiculous, huh? But this is how people identify themselves with the body. Right? So when you go to final analysis, you watch the feelings. So then they identify there's some Mr. Ong in the feeling. happy feeling, sad feeling, neutral feeling. Mr. Ong is inside. I'm the real Mr. Ong. That is the feeling. It's nothing. You watch the feeling rise and pass away, moment to moment. Nothing left. Right? When the feeling goes away, what is left of the feeling? No more. There's another feeling, of course, there's another feeling, but it's not the same feeling. So you watch the perception, consciousness, mental form, it's all the same. Perception is connected with memory. Think you what you were doing 10 years ago. Cannot. 10 years ago you were just 50 something years old, you're still Melaka. Or 20 years ago you're still in Masjid Tanah, is it? Is it Masjid Tanah? In Jawa, in a precious shop. Inviting to be robbed. So as you go back further, you remember something, obviously. You don't remember everything. So some perception is lost. And so after that, you go up to your 2 years old, 5 years old, 2 years old, 3 years old. Can you remember what you were doing? Can you remember how young can you remember? 3 years old, 2 years old, 1 years old? 6. Usually when you start studying, going to school, you start to remember things. No? Before that, we have some memories, but most of them are already gone. Gone where? Some people say Akashic records. I don't know what they're talking about. There's something to do with Tibetan things, New Age. So, what happened to all those memories? Not that it didn't happen, those things happened, but your memory is not there anymore. The memory is not like the hard disk. Hard disk, that. Even the hard disks go kaput, all the things finish. Very easy, you just put some virus in there. Come emptiness, impermanence. So finished. So anatta, means nothing is really left eventually. Nothing. It's very frightening. So the person is a concept. Atta is a concept of an everlasting soul. Not that mind and matter is not there. Five aggregates are there, they arise and pass away, moment to moment. And that's where the meaning of anicca, dukkha, anatta comes together. Anicca, dukkha, anatta is a deeper reality compared to just concept of anatta. So anatta just actually means reality. I want to explain a bit more on this anatta because this is the crux of the teachings. So when you say atta, self, anatta, non-self, these are words. But what do they mean? I mean, think self, non-self, and you have something in your mind. Self is this, non-self is that. Those are ideas of self and non-self, which are also concepts. Because they are ideas. What the question is, what is behind the ideas? There are real ideas and there are unreal ideas. Real ideas, there's a reality backing it up. There's an unreal idea, that means there's no reality backing it up. Okay? That's what it means. Take for example, Mr. Ku here. Mr. Ku is a concept, right? But there's a reality backing it up. What is the reality? The fire against arise and pass away moment to moment. There are fire against that. And that's the thing that goes on life after life, together with the bulk of suffering and happiness. Because next life it will not be Mr. Ku. But who will it be? Depending on his karma. Then we talk of another thing. Superman. Who is Superman? Superman does not exist. Once I bought an interesting book, I don't know who I gave it to. 100 personalities that change the world, but doesn't exist. Of course, Superman is one of them. Who else? One of them I know is, I don't remember all of them. I remember is this Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes is a character from the novel. He doesn't exist. Some people think he exists, but he doesn't exist. It's just storybook. So there's a concept of a person, but there's no reality backing it up. When you talk of Sherlock Holmes, there are no aggregates in the past, in the present, or the future that backing up. Okay, Sherlock Holmes are these five aggregates. No. It's just an idea that came out of the author's mind, Conan Doyle. So that's why. The real concepts are the unreal concepts. So when you talk anatta, you don't talk about these unreal concepts. Anatta applies only to realities. And here, very funny, you must remember this, otherwise you get confused. Important not to get confused in Vipassana. As I say, it's very precise. Anatta usually defined as non-self. This is not a very good translation actually, because it has is a negative prefix. So they translate as not self. So what is not self? So many things are not self. So, similarly, these prefixes are, for example, lobha, or attachments, craving. Alobha means translated as non-attachment. But alobha does not mean no attachment. Attachment, lobha, okay, attachment, you see what is lobha. When you have strong craving, let's say for coffee or for cigarettes or for what, then this craving, I want, 我要，我不灭，我会死啊！我要啊，死不复放啊，就是 clinging, strong clinging. But no craving doesn't mean anything. It means no craving also. But no alobha doesn't mean no craving. Alobha means the quality, It's a virtue that's opposite of craving. It means contentment, or it means detachment. It's an actual mental state. So the word alobha has a reality behind it, not because it's absent of something. So, when you talk anatta, it refers to something real. It must be something real backing after it. So we use a different word, translation, which many people, scholars won't accept. It's nature, reality or nature. That's what it means. So the negative definition is non-self, which is conceptual, another concept. And nature, say yatta bhuta, things as they are. That is anatta in the real sense that as you perceive it, because you're mindful, clear, and you perceive it without concepts, that which is perceived is yatta bhuta. It means as it is, things as they really are. Depends on how deep your perception and how sharp your perception, perceive it differently. So there's anatta, and the real meaning of anatta. Now what is important in this is that when the atta and anatta plays in the mind, because when you have this attachment and craving to the self, all the defilements become very strong. Because in the psychology or the metaphysics, the forces of the mind revolve around certain things. You see, what a person does, what a thing thinks is what? Because of himself. Right? You work so hard, why? Because you want something. You want to live. You don't work, you die. And you work because of your my family, my children, my parents. It's not bad, but all the thoughts revolve around a person. If it's with craving, anger, delusion, then it becomes very bad. And so it becomes with good intention, then it becomes very good. But what happens? No person. If you don't have mindfulness, then you become split. But your mindfulness inside, you become free. Freedom, true freedom. So that's what Vipassana is, goes for true freedom. Freedom from craving, anger, delusion. That's the meaning, best way to understand the understanding of anatta, what it can give you. And so there is this what you call perception of anatta. Perception of anatta is perception of reality, perception of nature, perception of the Dhamma. This comes under right view, samadhi. Someone once asked, how does concentration brings about insight? Because when your mindfulness of things as they are, without concept, without sharp, and you concentrate onto these realities, you understand in depth that these are naturalities, that no I, no me, no mine, not thinking, but direct and thorough understanding. So this becomes insight. On the other hand, if you perceive it wrongly, and you think this is a self there, the everlasting soul there, and then, of course, becomes a wrong view. So there's this called wrong view. Wrong view is strong claim to an opinion of reality which is not true. And with right view you cannot have this wrong ideas, wrong view. Because when you see reality as it is, it cannot be impermanent. And it cannot be permanent because the moment you see it, it's not there. It's conditioned. It cannot be everlasting peace because it's always changing. When you hear people talk about sukha, the happiness of self, it's not the happiness that you talk of having a nice party or, eating a durian. What else do you enjoy? Temporarily. Besides durian, I can only think of durian because I see Mr. Wong, I can only think of durian. You like chicken rice? You like chicken rice? No. Okay lah, boleh makan. So when you talk about the sukha of the atta, you find that it refers to the everlasting bliss of the true soul, true self. That's what it means. So your small soul must join with the big soul somewhere in the universe, and then you have everlasting peace and bliss. This is more like Hinduism. Atma, Paramatma, and that sort of thing. Buddhism different. We talk of non-soul. Because before you can get into the reality, you must put away all the nonsense. If your idea of a big soul, no soul, also the idea is still there. You must put away all of them to experience the real nature, which it describes as no soul. Which is nature. So, there's another thing you have to differentiate. Sometimes people misunderstand. Is the asmimana. Asmimana is translated as the I am conceit, which means the ego, the egocentrism. It is connected with the belief in the soul and so on, but not necessarily directly. Something very natural in the thought process. So there's a process of identification. How do you identify? First, when you're born, you're already taken a photograph. You look like this, you look like that. So you have an IC card. In the beginning, you don't have an IC card, do you? At what age do you get an IC card? 12. Really? Why 12? Why not 10? Why not 14? Why? Huh? Is it? My goodness, that's terrible. Without photo. Anyway, your IC shows who you are, is it? Your IC doesn't show who you are what you are. But it has a list of your physical properties. Yeah, how tall, what of eyes have you. Nowadays, you want to be more specific, you must not wear spectacles. What about those Muslim? They wear hijab or not? They cannot, I see cannot wear hijab. I think they wear hijab. No. These Malay ladies, when they, I see, do they have that thing covering their head?
Must see the face of the patient.
The hair?
I think they will
Take off, huh?
I think they will take off because the lady there will tell you what she wants. I just go and take my passport. You put on the flag and then black coat.
It was very funny. Sometimes somebody was joking. Some of them were taking photographs. So all wearing this one. That is strange. What's the point? Anyway, must not make fun of other people. All these people come up to us. So anyway, at least there's some physical form, identity, identify. So what they do, they have all those plastic surgery, masters of disguise. So there's this egocentrism and this identification process. Very difficult to get rid of. Very strong. Everything you get stuck to you. And with this brings, it's like, like the whole, what do you call, or the whole matrix that is woven around the belief of the everlasting soul, person, everything. Yeah? Because the belief is very deep. One is the external belief in this, belief in that. There's still superficial, but there's one very deep insight that you cling on to, comes with the clinging to existence. Clinging to the existence. So you see all those, don't talk about other people, talk about Buddhists. See, Buddhists, you see, towards the history of Buddhism, how many centuries? Thousands of years. And they split to so many schools. Why? Because different ideas, different viewpoints. Right? And some, if you find in the early schools, don't talk about the later schools, Mahayana, Tibetan also the later schools, early schools, they already believe that there's a mind, there's a permanent soul in the mind. The early schools already there. And don't talk about early schools, even during the Buddha's time, the monks that believe that the consciousness, there's something permanent in the consciousness. So the Buddha has to go and tell him off. You, stupid man, foolish man, how can you say I say this? So this is called Bhikkhu Sati, Majjhima Nikaya. Or is it? There were Tiga Nikaya. So you see, even those days, so now after so many years come down, of course there's some people very strong. Nowadays people say, the consciousness is Nibbana. So consciousness is the actual everlasting thing. No. Even in the early days, Buddha already said consciousness is not everlasting. But nowadays people say, right? When a lot of these people nowadays in some of the schools, they still say consciousness, there's a kind of consciousness which is very pure and that is permanent. Is it? Consciousness is permanent. Oh? Who's smarter, you or they? Lúc gạo hay gì gạo? Y con hay linh con? Gầy thấu này lâu chỗ kia. Somebody not say anything. So that's why the anatta is very important. You start perceiving anatta first in the body. Then after that you perceive anatta of the mental phenomena. Because the body is very rough and very clear, you can perceive that. Then only later you perceive clearly the anatta of the mental phenomena. In the beginning, the perception of anatta, even though it's developed, is not so clear. Even clear only in certain aspects. When you come to the Citta and Dhamma, difficult. You tell me all those Buddhists in those days, they don't know. Their concentration is better than yours. The Hindus, the concentration, they can fly in the air. Can you fly in the air? No. You jump outside from here to down there, what happens to you? So yeah, but they still cling on the idea of atta, self. Because it's so strong. You give them all the reasoning, they can reason for you. But deep inside, there's a feeling, there's a clinging to an existence that cannot be, they cannot let go. So that's why you need vipassana insight to reach out to the, remove the latent tendencies. So you perceive anatta. It's not enough to just perceive it, you must perceive it very deeply, very clearly, in all aspects of the phenomena. Then it becomes stable enough to go to the higher levels of insight. Otherwise it still goes, but no, not strong. But never mind, as you practice more, it becomes stronger and stronger. So that's the heart of Dhammanupassana, starting with the, according to the Dhammasatipatthana, the Nivaranas. You see the anatta of the five hindrances. You can see anatta, not say five hindrances very quickly go away. The five hindrances are connected with the it's a defilement and it's clinging to it. Five aggregates, the identification process of the self. That one, if you see anatta, then of course you cover the strong clinging to the self, to the egocentrism. Then salayatana, the six sense bases. Then the sambojjhanga, Four Noble Truths. All these are more in a very deep level, especially the bojjhangas, factors of enlightenment. So, but each of them of these groups have a specific, particular function involved. So, we start thinking of the five aggregates. Five aggregates are quite clear. Rupa, what we meditate to a great extent is Rupa. The body foundations, the main object is Rupa. When you see very clearly Anatta, then you know the body is not yours. It's not me. Then you see it as impermanent. Then you see it as suffering. Now we see this thing about impermanence. You see, Anatta, there are few aspects. Anatta as a reality, Anatta as a sign, universal characteristics. That is the no control. No control. That means when you see the body is beyond your control, it is a sign that the body is anatta. It's not within your personal control or direct control or anybody's control. Which means that you watch it to the extent you can see clearly impermanence. When we talk about impermanence, real meaning of impermanence characteristics, it means that the moment it arises, it passes away. This means that this arising and passing away is a natural phenomena, process, natural process. You cannot stop it. You cannot slow it down. You cannot make it go faster. Okay, I watch this pain. I want it to go faster. So I stretch my leg. I perceive impermanence. I go inside. Right or not? Easy way out. I got this headache. I'm so suffering. I take out Panadol, disappear. Impermanence of the headache. It works, but you don't perceive true impermanence. Impermanence is always there. It's not faster, not slower. It's just that it's almost like when you see that thing, it's not real. In other words, if it's not real, it's not there. You can't say it's unreal faster or unreal slower. Slowly it becomes unreal, no? Quickly it becomes unreal. No. The speed is a concept. It's real is real, it's unreal is unreal. The clearer you see it, if it's unreal, it's not there. That's when you say impermanence. There's nothing you can do when it passes away. So we go to the actual. That's where anicca, dukkha, anatta is essentially the same thing. What is impermanent is non-self. What is non-self is impermanent. What's impermanent is suffering. What suffering is non-self. Same. Even suffering, dukkha, it refers that it is not real. Illusion. Pain. Because usually we talk of pain and suffering. That is, of course, suffering, no doubt about that. The suffering is suffering. But when you talk of the suffering in terms of the three universal characteristics, there is something else. There is impermanence as suffering. But to be able to go to that level, you must see impermanence very clearly. That means when you see impermanence very clearly, you see the base of all suffering, including all your pain and so on, is delusion. Delusion, that means illusion. Because you are totally enlightened, there is no suffering for you. Of course, when the body is still there, there's still pain, but it doesn't hurt you so much. When you know it's unreal, It really, really unreal. It cannot hurt you very much. There's feeling there, of course, the sharp feeling, but the pain is not what a normal person feels. This one you have to experience yourself to find out. And those people say, no, that cannot be true, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, you mean, too bad. Okay, we stop here tonight. No.